noches, bienvenidos a FCTV de Club Deportes. Les damos la bienvenida hoy, que es martes 2 de noviembre, Día de los Muertos allá en México, martes 2 de noviembre de 2021. Les damos la bienvenida, yo soy Jorge Iturralde. Los invito, antes de pasar con los otros invitados, los invito para que nos visiten en clubdeportes.com. Ahí tenemos toda la información deportiva en español, local, internacional. No se lo puede perder, clubdeportes.com, también como los programas que tenemos aquí, los de los lunes, martes, y vamos a tener un programa este jueves después del partido, bueno, de lo que pasa en las incidencias del miércoles en el Q2. Y no se les olvide seguirnos en nuestras redes sociales, Club Deportes en Facebook, ya sabe, Club Deportes en Twitter, @Club Deportes, en Instagram, @Club Deportes Austin. Vamos a tener un programa, we're going to have a show in English and Spanish, because we're going to mix everything, even in Portuguese. Así que no se despeguen, que stay here, because we're going to have a very nice show, very good show with a guest that we're going to be talking, two guests, that we're going to be talking a lot of the Austin Bolt, but also about the Austin FC. Si quieren, nos vamos de una vez a la cámara número 2. Y let me start with Roberto very quick, Roberto Salazar, because I want to take a little more time to talk to you. Roberto, bienvenido nuevamente, gracias. Esta es tu invitación número 3, creo, si no me equivoco.
Me parece que ya voy en la cuarta.
Ya vienes en la cuarta, perfectamente bien, Roberto. Nuevamente, muchísimas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros.
Ya la próxima voy a empezar a cobrar.
Sí, ¿verdad? Claro que sí. Ya te conozco, Chiquiwhisky,
No,
es que ya la...
Muchísimas gracias por la invitación y muy agradecido.
Bueno, pues vamos a hablar mucho acerca de... Tú le vas a entrar a lo que va a ser el Austin FC, pero también vamos a hablar acerca de lo que pasa y las verdades con el Austin Bolt. Pero, ¿quién más que nos pueda platicar? Roberto Silva, ex-manager of the Austin Bolt, ex-manager of Austin Aztecs, and now one of the heads of Austin Striker. The Striker actually is not Austin Striker, it's the Striker Texas. Welcome, Roberto, muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. No voy a intentar hacerlo en español, no es tan bueno,
no es bueno.
Eso soy portuñol, entonces no voy a intentarlo.
No,
so I'll do it in English. I think it's going to be better for our viewers. But so I'm the co-founder of the Striker Texas, and I've been working with professional soccer for a couple of decades now. I worked in Brazil for many years. Came to the U.S., met the owners of the Aztecs, and they were in the process from going PDL to going pro, and we thought that we could help each other. And, since February of this year, we launched the Striker Texas, and we're very, very happy to be able to support local soccer.
Yes, and also who can be better if you, with your experience? I mean, from Brazil, we can't say much. I mean, you're from Brazil, so basically...
We had some bad moments, though.
You're talking about the 7...
No. Next one. Let's go.
I kind of wish Mexico had some of those bad moments.
Yeah, right? Exactamente. Well, we're going to talk about Austin FC, but I don't know. We should start with Austin FC so we can stay a little longer about your experiences with both, with the UCL switchover. How was it? This question, I don't want to forget about it. What is the franchise, the Austin Aztecs franchise?
Sorry?
The Austin Aztecs franchise?
Yes.
The last one? What is it? It was old?
No, it's the Bold.
It's the Bold?
It's the same franchise.
Oh, okay.
It's the same franchise. Yes.
Okay, I thought it was like a new one. And is that...
Oh, there was. It's a long story, right? So what happened with the Aztecs is that we had that big Memorial Day flooding that we lost House Park. We had to move to up north to Round Rock, and in that process of that change, the league put a challenge which they've been doing to all the franchise, saying you need a soccer specific stadium, and we said we need a year off to find that solution for the soccer specific stadium. So the Aztecs went dark for what was supposed to be 1 year.
But it was more than that, right?
It was more than that, because the moment that we came back to the league to say that we were going to build the stadium at Circuit of the Americas and to play back, for whatever reason that to this day I don't understand, the league said that we didn't have the rights to go back, that we couldn't play again. And we went into a legal dispute with the league. We had an arbitration with the league to a point where the league understood that they're going to lose. That's how I see it. I think if you ask them, they're going to see it a little bit different way. But let's say the best way to say it, that we came to an agreement that we had the rights to play, right? And that's when we announced the board coming to the Circuit of the Americas, and that was 2 years and a few months after that hiatus. Well, that was the duration of the hiatus. When we announced, then there was another 6 months before we played. We had to build the stadium and get everything right.
And you guys, I'm gonna say, let's stay a little bit with before we move to Austin FC. You guys had already the news of Austin, the movement MLS to Austin.
Well, the MLS to Austin existed even when the Aztecs was here, right? That was a movement that we were part of it. I mean, the Aztecs ownership in the front office, we helped build that process. Not necessarily build, it was a group that existed, and we supported that over time with the events that we did. The big watch party that we did for the World Cup in 2014 at the Long Center. All of that was part of us bringing the MLS to Austin. The whole involvement of the board ownership with the Aztecs, it was because there was an intention of bringing MLS, and we were working with that. The board ownership had met with Garber several times to discuss that and bringing MLS to Austin. What nobody knew at that point is that it was already sold, right?
Oh, okay.
It was already, Columbus always had the ownership in Columbus, which was Precourt, already had a clause on his contract saying that he could come to Austin at any point. If you know, whoever was involved with the Aztecs, even know that we had a partnership with Columbus Crew. The Aztecs, the Aztecs was the affiliated team from Columbus. And we talked always a lot about how good Austin was, and there was even at some point in the process there were even discussions between the ownership of Columbus and the ownership of Vode on us joining forces and flipping the franchises, which at that point the Columbus ownership didn't want to do it. They said, no, we don't want to do it. We have no interest on leaving Columbus. That was the position of the ownership at that point. So we kept working on trying to bring MLS to Austin. Garber had told us that process was saying, build it up. Go there, create a team, create a strong fan base, show that the city is ready for that, and come back with that. And that's what was the investment on USL Championship. And I think everything else, everybody knows what happened.
I mean, we heard things from one side, from other side, people talking, and it's basically you leave everything right there. Hey, chicken whiskey. You leave everything
You got mad.
right there from inside. It's not. Do you guys didn't feel like this was unfair? Because I talked to Steve Adler once, and I said because he mentioned that the project to bring the Precourts, it was probably about 2-3 years before the ball, but he said he couldn't say anything, and he knew it was the intention about bringing MLS. Don't you guys think this was unfair that you guys didn't that you guys didn't have like the opportunity to manage to own the MLS team?
George, I think it's an unnecessary discussion at this point, right? I think this is.
No, I know.
I think this is something that one way or the other. I think we could be discussing here for days or hours. The way that was done could have been done different, or one way or the other. But the fact is that we have a team in Austin now, an MLS team, a very successful team outside the field. We don't even need to discuss that. I have a lot of comments that I could talk about what's going on the field. I'm very opinionated about that. But as a franchise overall, it's a very successful one. Maybe the most successful in the history of this league. I think so. I think so too. I think
the first seasons of at least the ones I know, Houston, that I was there in the first game, the very first game, and I followed Houston for probably 2 years. It was the same as Austin.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they had like a huge run, and they were traveling, and they were
but when I say it's the most successful one, of course there are going to be a lot of comments saying, oh, there was this one, there was Atlanta, there was LAFC, there was other comments,
Sounders
right?
also.
Yeah, Sounders. But what I say, my argument is say that I think this is one of the, if not the most successful, one of the most successful.
Yeah, it is.
Let's make it. Let's make it that way. Is that I think they filled all the marks, right? When you talk about, season ticket holders, they were very successful. Nobody can question that, right? The quality of the stadium, very
beautiful.
It's amazing. Done in a very smart way, right? I always say that they did it. It's a cheap stadium, a cheap, good stadium. There are things that they decided to do quality-wise in the stadium that you can only do in Austin. You couldn't be doing that if it was in LA. You couldn't be doing that in New York. But because Austin allows you to do it, they were very smart doing that, right? So when I say cheap, I'm not saying in a bad way. I'm actually saying in a very positive way. They have maybe one of the best, if not the best, training facility in the whole league, right? They have a ton of sponsorships that are local sponsors in high level, and many clubs in bigger cities didn't have the sponsorship structure that they created, right? So, man, do I need to say about the supporters group? Do I need to say what these guys are doing on the stands? It's just incredible, amazing, right? Again, when I have these arguments with other people, they're going to say, oh, but Atlanta has a stadium for 70,000 people, whatever it is. I don't even remember how many it is. So it doesn't matter. For what they created and what they did, it's very successful. I had a consultant today with us today and yesterday here with us, helping us in a project that we're working on. And we went to a restaurant today. The server had a Austin FC hat on. And that happens every single day. I'm not sure that happens in that many other cities. It does.
Probably not in U.S., but
that's what we're talking. We're talking about MLS now. So, again, with the exception what was done, maybe the most important part of the franchise, which is on the field, I'm very proud of what this group has done. I'm very proud of Andy. I have to be proud of the ownership for doing that. But again, I think it's a very successful one.
No, I understand, and I agree with you totally. We always talk about that. I'm not talking about the field things, on the soccer talking, but the organization is very good. But they're learning. They're learning a lot. The marketing department has been doing things that they are not really focused to our community, and I'm talking about Hispanics. They are doing now. They put a tweet now for the Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah.
They are doing some tweets in Spanish, but it took them 9 months or 7 months.
Well, we got to remember also, Jorge, is that you do what you need to do. The market helps you in that process. And they were surfing the wave. And, I always said that. I am with you a little bit. I agree with you in some points. I always told people and told even the front office, I told them this many times, saying, I'm not worried about year 1 and year 2. I think year 1 and year 2, you guys done it.
Yeah,
it's let's see what you're gonna build for year 3 and year 4, year 5, right? And giving them this year to adjust and to learn and to do, I think it's a fair one.
No,
and let's see how it goes. But I agree with you. Also, we were talking off the air just now. I know the improvement, for example, with Ryan Maiden coming in to take care of the communication department. Now they have somebody that understands the sport, understands the franchise, understands the media, and it's going to have a hard time to put the pieces together. But it was an improvement from what they had before, right? And all the changes and all the moves they're doing, almost all of them that I see are to a better.
Exactly.
To a better position, and that's what you want.
And these things I'm talking, Precourt is the head of the. This organization is like huge. They have employees for every single thing on community, on even at the buses they go some people from the Austin with the fans. I mean, it's like a really, really, really good corporation. And these kind of corporations, I think the people who's on the top, they don't have to be blamed for the mistakes that the people below have to do. I mean, they are learning.
More or less also. Fine. Right, more or less. I do think that the experience, not the experience, but the culture of a company, it starts on the top. And it comes down, right? The message that you send down, it's what's gonna deliver.
But you need to understand that Columbus, and I'm talking about the ownership.
Yeah.
Columbus and Texas or Austin, it's very different on community wise. We are Mexicans and Mexican Americans and other Latino people that gets involved. Like you see people from Bolivia, you see people from Brazil, over the Columbus. That's why they do they do the qualifying games on Ohio, because there's the fan base is completely different.
Yeah.
So I don't think they know or they knew. Right now it's different, but I don't think they knew how Los Verdes is, how the La Murga it's been built, because everybody from the roots. It's from the community.
Yeah, what I think I would say to that, George, is that I think they knew that. I believe that they know that there was. I think the communication overall that they tried to do from the beginning of this franchise was Hispanic oriented, maybe even more Hispanic oriented than any other franchise also, right? Even if you go to LA, both LA teams, which are very Hispanic oriented, I would say they did it well. I think we can criticize them if we want, and I think you're going to have a more quality for that than I would have. Say they might have missed some points. They might have not done it right because they were learning, because they're not ready to do that. But I think the intention was there, has been there from day one.
It was and it is. I mean,
it's been there.
Yeah, right now we're seeing some different things. And talking about the LA, LA Galaxy has the Twitter in Spanish and Twitter in English. LAFC has a Twitter in Spanish. Even if you go to La Premier League, some of them they have in English and Spanish. That's just the tweets. I mean, they can.
Yeah, well,
and like he's saying, in their defense, like before.
No, but I'm not.
I don't think anybody is.
Before the first game, they call us into a meeting, like all the supporters groups, and we all gave ideas, and we all talked about what was wrong, what they were doing wrong, what it was needed to be improved, and I think they addressed all those points after that meeting.
That's it. I think they, like we said, the intention is there. They might be doing wrong. You also have to remember the two language thing. There's a big discussion in the market overall if you should do that or not. Especially when you're building a brand, do you want to do that together? But even on their English account, they're always playing around with the two language. They're trying. Again, if they're doing right or wrong, I'll let you guys that are more native Spanish speaker to do that. But again, I think to be fair to everybody, I think the intention is there.
Yeah.
The execution might not be there yet, but if they're trying to improve, and I feel that they're trying to improve.
I tell you my experience with the media and being a media and the social media outlets. When you are on Twitter and you post something about FC, you have likes, you have retweets, you have followers, comments and everything. But if you post something, or I did on my Facebook, because I've been doing soccer here in Austin, I've been covering Austin we're going to be 24 years next Monday. So Club Deportes is going to be the 24th anniversary on Monday. If I go to Facebook, in Facebook, there is very minimal people commenting and talking about FC.
But I think
they go to Mexican soccer national teams and everything.
But I think that's a media thing. Like the younger crowd, it's not on Facebook anymore.
Yeah,
they're moving into Twitter and Instagram.
So we're talking about the younger crowd is the one into the MLS or the Austin FC and the old people, the generation before or
Your generation.
my generation. That's true. I mean, my generation, your generation. You're
I'm younger than your.
A ver, let me see. Who looks younger? Who looks younger? I'm just kidding. So, anyways, that's two different markets. But either way, they're a huge company. They're going to have to learn everything. We were criticizing about the Hispanic Heritage Month. They did something stupid like putting all the people with the flags on the Mexican Independence Day. That was a stupid thing to do because they didn't mention Mexico. They didn't say, "Oh, everybody happy," whatever. So there are some things that they have to change. Today, the Dia de Muertos, that's a very good thing. I mean, it's a holiday in Mexico. It's a holiday in Mexico. It's a huge holiday in Mexico. So, talking about the organization, I see we can go back.
Yeah, let me I think just one more point. I think it is important that I've been on the front office of teams for, like I said, maybe 20 years now. That I've been involved in front office sometimes, right? And there's one thing that I would always tell my teams that were the biggest challenge on being on the front office of a team is that you do something good, people don't talk about it. Now, if you mess up a little bit, you're going to be, smashed and killed, right? So there is a challenge on that process, right? It is that the fact that it's a passionate product. We're passionate about. The fans are passionate about, and they want it to be perfect. And even when it's not perfect, man, they're going to be loud.
I know, but I want to add on that, and basically, that's what happens in a regular town. Here in Austin, my personal opinion is the media is very soft.
No, with the U.S., not just Austin. I think the U.S. What happened with, and I don't think I should bring it up, but I will because it's me. What happened in the press conference a couple of weeks ago with Josh responding to I was very upset with that. I told my team, I said, if any coach does that to you guys, I want to be the first one to know, and I want to back you up because it's hard. And if it was in South America, the next reporter would have made the same question with the same wording.
And the next people. Yeah.
So to your point, I'm just going to support what you said, Jorge, is that I kind of feel that the coaches are soft and the media is soft. So the coaches can't take a criticism in the U.S. So we're talking about soccer, right? And not other things. They can't take criticism. And then the media has to be a little bit harder on them. They're still scared of being critical like we are used, I grew up, where we're,
And I'm going to say some of the fans are very soft too. Because they're afraid to criticize.
But those are the fans and the supporters. I mean, that's the difference. The supporter, it's and they have. I mean, sometimes I see the screen.
I think it's part of the learning curve. Like you said, a lot of them are new to the sport.
But it seems
the music.
You're one of the part of the groups, and I ask you since day one, do you guys get orders from the Austin Bowl? You say no. We can say this. We can sing. We can be upset. We can talk anything. Okay, I don't think it's the same thing in Austin FC, and I believe because they're the main group. I mean, all the screenshots that I have seen, people try. It seems,
George, you can't control that, George.
Right.
You can't.
No. But I know. But,
the club.
What I'm trying to say is, some of the main people. It's like, no, don't say that, don't do that. But these guys, because I don't know if you saw
but I don't
know if you saw the trumpet with a guy that said, "Come and take it." It was a shirt from I think the Oak
Army.
Oak Army. They did a shirt, and it was like a huge deal on the same people.
But I don't think it's a club.
But let them do whatever they want to do.
But they're trying to build like a standard community for the supports group. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to be different from any other support group that I have ever seen in my life anywhere in the world. They want to be very polite and very...
Okay, but let me tell you. So that means if you are not polite, you're going to get out of there? If you're not polite, you're not going to have the same attention?
I think they will eventually learn that that's not how supporters groups work.
Because that's the thing. My experience here on this year, the first year, I've been denied my access to the stadium. I've been kicked out. I've been called from the front office a couple of times. And I understand that this is kind of a part of our work when we don't make people happy. But on the other hand, it seems like people who is soft, he has more privileges than us, than people who's not, and that's the
I don't think it's soft the right word. I
think again, this is another issue that I think we could be here for hours talking about. What I'll say is this: I think everybody's learning. I think everybody is
even
us. We as the striker, we're learning every day, and we talk to each other. We exchange experiences on different markets, on what's going on one and what's going on other, and what we can do. We have a handful of very experienced journalists that have worked across the U.S. and even internationally. So, but I think there's learning experience. There's learning experience in the front office, like we said in the beginning of the show, and there's learning experience on our end. I know for a fact that what happened that day made everybody think a little bit more. And I know if that happens again tomorrow, I think everybody's going to react a little bit different than they reacted that day. It's part of that learning experience. We never had a major league team in this town.
Or
nobody that covers the sport in this town, especially for many years, has had the opportunity to deal with that. It's the first time, so everybody's learning.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I want to add to the comment you did before. Ryan, he's a very gentleman. He's a gentleman. I have been in contact with him a couple of times, and whatever it happens on in between, it's for us. He has to be over. I mean, we need to flip the page and just keep, because he's our team. I mean, some people when they say in Spanish, "Oh, nuestro equipo," that's our team. I mean, they say, why you say we lost or we win or we won? Because it's our team. I mean, whatever. I told Ryan once, Ryan, we work for you. So basically, whatever you want to tell us. But those are the things that I want to add a little bit about it. If you want, let's start with Karin. We have Karin in production today. Gerardo está enfermo, no vino, pinche Gerardo. So we're gonna have Gerardo is gonna be. I told him, it's gonna be Roberto Silva here. Oh, I'm sick.
It was you, shut up.
Just kidding. Saludos para Gerardo. Get well, man. Okay, so I want to start with let's start with Austin FC. Let's go with the game. Karin nos va a poner los goles. We lost again Copa Texas.
Something bold didn't do.
That's a very nice goal. That's a really, really nice goal. Fagundes, the only one. The forever one.
No, not the only one.
Not the only one.
Not the only one. I think
the forever one, I want to say.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, no, I think Copa Texas, and I'll say that. I like to say this all the time. I can say we lifted the first Copa Texas ever, right? Yep. Together in the field, we were there.
And it's an amazing feeling.
It is, and that's the other thing that I was saying this whole last couple of months. We all had a feeling from the front office of Austin that the coaching staff didn't care about this Copa Texas, right? Until that last week when Precor comes in, publicly says, "Hey, this is important for us. It's important for our fans. It's important for us. We're going to support that." We didn't have that feeling. Well, everywhere else, people were caring about that. They really were caring, and they wanted to make it happen, right? So, I gotta tell you, I was there at the stadium. We had a big, all day of content from the stadium, and it was an amazing. I know atmosphere after the game. If you think how bad, there was actually a comment there saying. Was the worst season of FC Dallas ever, and maybe the best one for the supporters group at the end, because they're really celebrating, and they were celebrating Copa Terras as if it was the MLS Cup.
Yeah. Let me tell you my experience with this. When I was on the way to Frisco, I was checking my Twitter. I follow you. I saw your reports, and I said, "Oh man, I want to get there. I want to get there. This is the tie. This is the 1-1." I said, "I want to get there." When I arrived to the stadium, I asked the media person in charge right there on, I don't know, I forgot the gate, but right there. I think she was from Italy or somewhere, but she didn't speak Spanish. I asked her, what is the Copa? Because I just saw guys with the Copa and I want to go and take a picture or something. I swear, Roberto. She said, "What? The Copa Texas? I don't know. Let me call. Hey, what is the Copa Texas? Oh, I think it's on the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Okay, and then and I say, okay, can I go there? Are they going to give it away after the game? How this is going to work? Because I didn't have experience of.
You could have asked me.
I was there with, you see, my
I could have brought you the real Copa
My perception was Dallas didn't care about the Copa Texas.
I think they
because I went upstairs. I went upstairs and I asked, where is the Copa Texas?
Yeah. And so I think what happened is that, and this is assumptions on my end, right? They're not real information here, just to make it clear here. We know this game. We've been here for a long period of time. I do think that the front offices of the three teams wanted to create something for themselves that they controlled, right? And the amazing thing about Copa Terras is that they don't control that. That's the best part of it. And I've been a big supporter of Copa Terras and Steve and everybody that created that, especially because of that. It is a supporters group thing. It's not about the front office. Until the morning of Saturday, they did not know if they were going to be able to deliver the trophy inside of the stadium or not, or at the field or not. There was still a discussion with the front office. And again, let's say here, another important thing, there's a ton of protocols this year that didn't exist before, right? The COVID, you can be close to the players. To be close to the players, you have to have masks, or you have to have, the test and all of that. So there was a lot of challenges for that, beyond the fact that the teams would really love to control what Copa Terras is. And the best part of Copa Terras is that the teams will never control it. This is it's from the supporters, for the supporters.
Okay.
It's a very organic thing.
And now I understand better that situation. Now, if it was for, that's the 2-1. That was a very bad thing. If it was something that important, because after we were eliminated days before the Copa Texas, a week before Copa Texas. So on the Tuesday media conference, I asked Josh Wolf, Josh, is this like a final game to you? And he was like, you can see that it's all over. He said, it's a good game. It's an important game. Is this like a final game to you? It's an important game. I mean, we need to win it. Why? Why he does? Well, I mean, it sounds like there's no compromise to say, yes, it's a final game and we're going to win it.
As critical as I am to Josh, and whoever is close to me knows my position on some of the decisions that he made this year, which I think a lot of people are not going to agree with. But I also don't necessarily agree with him, but I understand what he was doing, right? There's that argument on saying, I understand, but I don't agree. And I think that's one of those. He was protecting himself and his team.
He was protecting
but
himself.
He can do that again, because what we just discussed 15, 20 minutes ago. They don't have that pressure yet. They don't have the pressure from the supporters group.
Roberto,
and I'm going to tell you, I would not be surprised.
Can you repeat that? They don't have the pressure from
the supporters, from us in the media, from everybody. There's no pressure there. Now, they will have that pressure in a few years. I think we're building that. I think
they got the pressure today.
But that's what I'm going to say. I would not be surprised, and I don't know if that's happened or not. I would not be surprised if that tweet that came from Precourt that week was a pressure from the supporters group calling him because Precourt is very close to the supporters group. Him personally, when he travels, that's my understanding. I haven't traveled with the team yet, but by what I hear, he travels, he meets with the supporters, he's there, people have his number, he communicates with them. He's a very open owner, very open owner. I would not be surprised that that tweet came from pressure from the supporters, people that cared about Copa Terra, saying, why doesn't the team care about it? Why doesn't the team care about it? And there's a moment that he says, no, the team is going to care about it. Mm-hmm. And that was when we had the switch.
Now let's switch to soccer talk here. Golf. And I have talked about this before. I think the American way, because it is in your country, or my country, he would last 5 losses. I mean, we have 20 here. We have 20 losses. And every time we lose, there is an excuse to say, it happened because Danny Pereira got a problem, because we had a red card, because they didn't give us a penalty kick, because everything, it's an excuse for golf. Now, what I said before is, golf, it seems to have like a friendship with the top guys, because it seems like they're friends. He's very secure every time he's talking on the media after. Today, I saw the media conference today. He's laughing. We lost the Copa Texas. We have 20 losses, and he's laughing. He's saying, hey, let's start thinking about next. What? Right there, we have 32 games.
24.
32 games. We lost
20.
We won
8.
4. We won 8. And then from those wins, we have we won. From those 8 wins, we won 2 as a visitors, which was the 2 and 3 game, and then we got 6 losses. 6 wins at home, but we lost 8 at home. We lost 12 on the way. It's like really any numbers you want to say now, and I'm going to say this, Roberto, and I'm going to.
You want to hear the worst one?
I'm going to let you talk. Yeah, and I'm going to let you guys talk. I just want to say, okay, that's fine. We have Precourt. We have Wolf saying, "Oh, now the last media conference after the game on the Copa Texas, after the game on Saturday, he said, well, we need more people, more personnel, all over, right? We need more personnel." I mean, what kind of a coach are you? You have a team, and you need to make that team play with the limitations they have. If the defense is not, if they don't play like Barcelona, you need to make them play like Querétaro, or play like a USL team. You can't have the people going back and forward with limitations. So there's some strange things on during the week. Let's say, and I'm just gonna put a couple examples. They Cascante and Romagna, they were one of the weakest things on the team. But they play 2, 3, 4 games together, and they start getting better. All of a sudden, he plays them. He sends Cascante to the bench. He's with Romagna. And then when they do the switch, Romagna gets at the field. And things are really strange. Fagundes scores on one side of the field, he sends them to the other side of the field, on the middle of the game. Things like how you gonna choose a captain. And I know Alex Ring has an attitude. Alex Ring, it's a good player, and Alex Ring is one of the best, but he doesn't speak Spanish. And a team where you have 4 or 5 guys that they didn't speak English, you need a captain that can communicate with them. One day, Alex Ring got upset with me because I said, okay, there's an away game. I don't remember the game, but it was Cecilio Dominguez and him trying to go man, he's the captain. Okay, he's a good player. Yes, you need somebody to be able to communicate to these guys. Now, the communications has been a part a problem on Wolves' season. I mean, they don't communicate you if Ronnie Redes was injured since before the season. We knew that. Why they did the surgery Friday, they only know because they don't communicate that. Some people, and I know this from MLS, we had people with COVID. They never told us anything about players with COVID. They never say that until MLS release them to play. They're hiding the travel people. That was a problem that we had few weeks ago. They're hiding things that, I mean, do you think, Roberto, and I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let you guys talk. Do you think, number one, and I'm gonna say two things. Number one, Colorado is gonna say, oh, you know what, Fagundes is not coming and Drews is not coming and Gite is not coming. Let's have an emergency meeting. Do you think they care? That's a number one. And number two, I see people, because I'm always on the field taking pictures. I see players moving from one side to other, and the team or the opponents, the rivals, they don't make any switches. I mean, whoever is there, if Fagundes is going to move to the other side, this is not like go behind Messi or go behind Ronaldo and you have to go and press and bring two guys. I mean, it's an MLS, so they don't really have special strategies for a regular team. Maybe they do it with Carlos Vela. Maybe they will do it with Cervellan. Maybe they will do it with Chicharito. I don't know. But we're Austin FC. We're the last on the conference. Do you think they are going to do something special because we are guessing and we're inventing on the middle of the game? Go ahead, guys.
So let me put it this way. I think one of the problems that they had overall in the season, right, is what you said about the communication overall, right? There is a misunderstanding, and this is a philosophy that I have, which is people think that controlling the information is not giving the information. And I think you control the information better when you give the information and then you work how to use that. And I think that was a challenge that this team had overall before again, back to Ryan, before Ryan came in. I think there's already a change. I can already feel the change after Ryan coming in on trying to work with us a little bit more. Is it all in Ryan? No. Ryan depends on Josh, depends on Claudio, depends on other things that he can and cannot do, right? And again, I'm not saying even that Ryan is perfect. I think he might have some of his philosophies that I might not agree with him at some point. So I think that's one of the challenges that we've been having. I think a lot of the problems that we see, I think the coaching staff also sees. And if they communicate it and let us know that they know that they have that problem, we would be also maybe less frustrated with the process, right? And again, I've been on the front office, I've been on the technical staff of teams. There are some decisions that you make because there are things that are going on that you need to make those decisions. Only you know why. If you don't tell me, I have to guess, right? So I think if they were sharing more information, we would be a little bit less frustrated. But at the end, there's something that they can't change, is the fact that Austin is the last place in the stands. I think that doesn't change.
I understand.
That doesn't change. And that's it. That's a fact, and that's bad. That's bad for a successful franchise, like we discussed in the beginning, how successful this franchise is. To have everything here and have the field result down here, I think that hurts more than a normal franchise that is not successful at all. I think we would be accepting maybe a little bit better. They're paying the price of being successful.
And I understand very good. But what is the difference? And I'm going to go with you, Roberto. What is the difference? Like if they say, we're not taking these players, we're going to take those. He's the coach. And we're going to say, okay, he's taking those, whatever. Or what is the difference if they say, you know what, John Smith and Michael Perez had, no, we have a Perez, Michael Johnson, John Smith and Michael Johnson had COVID before. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I mean, there's like, oh, these guys have COVID. I mean, it really doesn't matter. But we are informed of everything that is happening. Why they hide things? I think this has to do with the technical stuff, not the people on top. I think this has to do something with the technical stuff. I know a bunch of things that we don't mention because basically we can get in trouble to people. But there are a bunch of stuff that obviously you can't share. But there's some stuff that you can share without problems. I mean, it's just like a regular information about a team having a person with an injury that is they don't want to do the surgery because they want to wait. I mean, it's okay. But if we know that Rodney Redes, he has been with the injury for 30 games, no lo crucificamos, we don't really kill him because we're saying this guy is a war. I mean, if you see all the comments on Twitter every time there is a game, he's not at 100%. So why we have to
guess that? I agree with you. I agree with you.
And I'm going to let Roberto talk. Go ahead, Roberto.
I don't want to talk now.
You don't want to talk? Go ahead.
To me, it starts at the coach. I don't think he was ready. I don't think he was prepared for an MLS team. I don't think he had the ability to manage this team. I mean, 20 losses. I don't know any other coach in the world that will have a job with 20 losses. That's just unbelievable to me to have a coach with that and to lose against an academy team. Because when we placed against Seattle, the age average on that team was 17 years old. So to me,
and I get you. Now, we're talking about.
We didn't even have a number 9, like a striker.
But that's not an excuse. I mean, you see people.
But that is the coach informing his team. If you don't have the basic knowledge of how to form a team,
then
how are you going to manage for the whole season?
How to change the strategies on the middle of the game? You ask them, you know what? You lost. Yeah, but they scored when we were on the minute 4. If it would be the opposite, it was different. The next game, they scored on minute 5, and they said, well, we lost because we couldn't handle every single thing. It's an excuse from Wolf. Now, okay, there's people saying Wolf out. Some people Wolf in. We just report. Now, on his own dignity, I would, if I'm doing this kind of work in any company, if I'm working for McDonald's and I'm losing money, I'm making my team, anywhere I work, I say, you know what, I'm going to resign because I'm not prepared for this. I'm not retiring. I'm going to go back. I'm going to learn because this happened with many coaches in the world. Brazil, Mexico, everywhere. When the coach is not ready, they just step on the side and they go back and do a better job. Right now, 20 losses. You heard this guy saying, we're going. We're going to keep working. Come on. We need to have some dignity and say, you know what? I'm not prepared. I want to ask, this happened in Mexico with couple coaches. And I don't know if it happens the same thing with the Austin Bowl. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But it happens that, you know what? I'm not ready to coach. Put me on the front office, as a one of the directors of something, and I'm going to be close, but I'm not making this particular group. I can't make them work. So that's a dignity, right? What are we waiting for here? Tomorrow, a win of 3-1, and then have the opportunity to debut Owen Wolf. That's what he's waiting for.
I think he will make his debut tomorrow.
I think so. No. But wait, if this has to be like in a boxing, they put the sparring, he has to be winning. He has to be winning, so he can go and say, you know what? Because if he's losing, and he brings his kid. He's like exposing his kid. I don't know how good he is or not, and that doesn't matter. Have you seen playing Owen golf? I saw him on Tigres, but actually he didn't do anything. But and I don't doubt he's going to have a very good future. I think Owen Wolf is going to have, he born basically in a soccer field, so he's going to have a great future. But not right now. Right now, it was a mistake even to bring him as a homegrown. We have a homegrown show, and we're talking about, man, this is really a joke.
Now I understand what the pay structure is on MLS, and that's why they use the title homegrown. I didn't know that was a thing on the MLS, so I just assumed homegrown was meant he was a homegrown of us. And I was like, well, he's not homegrown. I've never seen him.
He was registered with Columbus, I know, with Atlanta last year.
But I think it's something to do with the pay scale, right? That's where the homegrown. I didn't know that until later it was explained to me. So now I know what the homegrown title is, and it's not associated with him being homegrown as an academy player, kind of like Beto. He's a homegrown on Austin Ball, or Sony. He's a homegrown. Mackenzie's a homegrown.
We have a good players here in Austin.
I always said this.
Kakuta is a homegrown. My name. The other guy from Ball escapes my name.
Yes, he's a very good fan. He forgot his name.
I even forget my own name. So.
You see, it's the age. It's your generation. Anyways, vamos a poner, pon ese video que te dije, Karim. Vamos a escuchar ese video. Let's hear this video with each man. Y nos dices cuánto tiempo nos queda. Go ahead. Perfecto. This is very, very sad. It's very sad. 3 years, but he make a presence as an icon on the city. Austin Ball, you were part of that. When I heard these videos, I heard the first one. It really was very sad to hear you singing "No te vayas, don't go."
It was definitely a sad moment. We worked really hard, really hard from the very first day to make it successful, and to learn that it was going away. It was sad. The only thing now we have Austin FC, and people say, "Oh, don't be sad, you have Austin FC." But I was like, it's not the same. The culture on one of the stadiums versus the culture on the other stadium is very different. From the way we support Austin Ball to the way we support Austin FC. At Austin FC, like you said, is more script. We follow a line of songs. At Austin Ball, we had the freedom of sing whatever we wanted, to chant whatever we wanted to the players, to the coach, to the referee. As long as it was not insulting, we always had the freedom of moving with the emotion of the game. And I think that's how we changed a lot of the games for Austin Ball. And we don't have that in Austin FC. I know eventually it would change as supporters grow and they get more familiar with the culture of soccer. But that's something we're going to miss. Like there's no comparison between the atmosphere that we had at Austin Ball versus what we had at Austin FC, at least for the ones who were there at every single game. Because we never got involved in the fighting of the owners and the fighting of the supporters group. We were always there for the soccer. And like I said, like I was saying before, we have homegrown kids that I saw since they were 9 playing 3v3s or playing in tournaments in Austin. And then seeing them playing in Austin Ball, it was like you made it. Like I saw you when you were a kid, and now you're playing at that level. So that was it. Now we have Mackenzie and Austin FC, but I'm not gonna see a lot of Mackenzie stories at the MLS level. Mm-hmm. And I think Austin Ball was a better venue to give the Austin kids a chance to experience soccer at a higher level?
I was gonna. I mean, I tried to get a player, an Austin ball player. I tried with two of them. I know they are having a dinner right now. This moment, they're having a dinner, and obviously nobody was going to be available. But Roberto, tell me your experience as a manager on the Austin Ball. You were from the roots, right?
Yeah, I usually say that that's my baby, right? It was my baby. If there was a employee one, I was employee one. You could even say employee zero. I was there before it even existed. But yeah, well, I was the one that, like we discussed before, that was able to get the franchise back with the negotiation, with the arbitration with the league, and we got it back and we put it in place. You were talking about the language in Austin FC squad. In our first year, there was a moment that we had 18 different nationalities in the Austin Bowl team.
That's
It was well. I think we broke a little bit the structure of USL, bringing experienced players and making the playoffs on our inaugural year, winning Copa Terras, all of that. So. I gotta tell you, it was an amazing year with all the challenges that we had. Besides being an expansion franchise, besides being a venue that was not suited for soccer because it is a racetrack at the end. The conflicts that we had with the races, with concerts, and all of those immense challenges that we had. Then we also had something that was, something that much beyond soccer, which was the loss of promise. Isaac promised at the end of the season, which was a. It was
you were there when.
Yeah. It was a tough night, tough few weeks. I was the one that received the family, his wife, and the next day at the airport in the morning, and spent a couple of days with them trying to get everything resolved. All the challenges that we had with the different culture between Nigeria and the U.S., their personal religion and the laws in the U.S. There was a big conflict between, Austin Police Department and the family on what to do, how to. It was a tough experience. So even with all those challenges, I think we ended up, in a very good position that year. It was for the franchise. I think we were good. I think there were the challenges that we had with Austin FC coming in, and like Roberto said, the disagreement between the ownerships of the two teams. But I think what made me more sad at that year on that fight overall was. There was a lot of lies that were in our soccer community, people trying to mislead information. And for example, this information that, the fact that we went dark for longer than normal, everybody that was in the soccer community knew that, but that was not said. It was said that, they sat on the franchise. They didn't want to use the franchise. They just brought the franchise because of Austin FC. That's not true.
I asked Roberto once because there is like a urban talking.
I'm still waiting for my check, by the way.
I asked Roberto, I said, there's people saying that Bobby Epstein give money or finance a campaign to avoid Austin FC being on Austin. Is that something that is real or is not?
Well, I think it was clear that Bobby did not agree with how the process was being held by the city at that point. And I'll be honest, I agree with him. I don't think that the process was done right. We say there's a saying that we say in Brazil, maybe we have that in English, is get the right thing doing the wrong way, right? And I think that's the history of how this franchise got here, in my opinion. It's saying, I don't think it was done the right way. I think the way that it rushed through the city hall and all of that. But at the end, again, I think that's behind. I think that's behind us, and we got it. We got the team, and it's a successful one, like we said before. And I do think that I understand your your disappointment on what's going on. But I'm the kind of the half full glass kind of guy, and I'm gonna say is, yeah, it's sad that the boat is going, but at least we got something in town, right? It could be worse.
Yeah.
We could be seeing a franchise going away, not having anything else in this town, which is a soccer town. We always knew that this was a soccer town. From the day that I stepped in here, I knew that, and there was people that already believe in that. David Markley, René van der Zande, everybody from the Austin Soccer Foundation, everybody from Eberle's Army, all that group from that moment believed that this was a soccer city. If you ask Sonny, he knew this was a soccer city 25, 30 years ago, that this was going to be it, right? And so all of that. So I think out of all the bad things that we could have, man, all right, the boat is not here. I'm happy that's staying in Texas. I think for Texas soccer, it's going to be good.
Where is going to?
Fort Worth.
Forward.
Yeah. So
and it's going to be bold, or it's going to be something?
I don't know. That part we don't know yet. The owners here, Bobby and the new owner, Donnie Nelson, they both can't talk about it until the league officially makes the announcement. So we've been trying the Striker Texas to get them on the record, both sides, both Donnie Nelson and Bobby. They both are avoiding that. And again, I've been on the other side. I know why they're avoiding that, right? I'm sure Donnie Nelson would be thrilled to come out and announce the franchise now, but there's bureaucracy behind all of that, and there's marketing strategy and a lot of things that, again, people can disagree what's right or wrong, but there's different ways. But again, I think we got to celebrate that soccer. Well, that was my saying. I did a column on when we opened the Q2 for the first time, right, with the US game. And my phrase was saying, I ended saying how good it is that I don't have to explain with numbers anymore the Austin is a soccer city. I don't need that anymore. It's over. Now I can say Austin is a soccer city and people accept it. There's no need to do.
I don't think you were here when Phil Rollins was left.
Yeah. No.
Did you hear what he sent to the statement? He sent a letter to the statement saying, I'm leaving Austin because the city is not prepared for soccer.
Yeah.
And it was like a long letter saying, Austin, you suck. But,
Yeah. But that's if you sorry, no. Roberto. If you ask David Markley, who was a minority owner of that team, I'm sure he would say I fully disagree with Phil Rollins at this point.
Definitely.
Right?
David try his he tried, and I have a bunch of experiences with him. He was riding players in his car to games on Dallas. He was renting from his pocket money because he wanted to have a team in Austin. That was the Austin lining with I don't think they have a partnership with Mimbella, the coach, but it was like an effort very different than what we have right now, because Bobby and Precourt, they have a bunch of money to it wasn't like that.
Yeah,
in 2013, 2012.
But all of them, right? All of them, and that's the part that I think we sometimes as fans we forget, right? That those people that are running those, yes, they have money, but they're spending a lot of money to make soccer for the community, and it is for the community, because a lot of those ventures in soccer, they already knew it was not going to be financially successful. So it's literally them giving back to the community, right? We go back again. I'm going to use René van der Zande and our partner as the Striker Texas. Now, the Striker Texas is one more venture that it is him believing in soccer in the city, and in this case, in our case now, the state, believing in soccer and believing to give it back to the community. It's a way to give back to the community. Again, don't get me wrong, we are a for-profit company, and but our mission is to help develop soccer in our state, and we're gonna get there. The amount of money that David and time that he spent, that René van der Zanden spent, Bobby Epstein and now Precourt in this community. No matter what happens, we should always be happy for those guys. We should always be supportive of those guys.
And I understand now the investment they did with the stadium, because the stadium, Bolt Stadium is beautiful. I mean, I'm telling you,
it's my second baby.
It was a boat in the stadium. It's really beautiful. If you go to Mexico and you compare with some other stadiums, they are like really, they look old. Old. They're ready for being a museum. Anyways, it's beautiful. What are they going to do with the stadium? Do you know something?
No, we don't know. We don't know that. We try to get some information. So when we got the rights for the franchise back, like we discussed on that arbitration, there was already rumors of the possibility of MLS coming to Austin. Right at that point, we already knew that there was a risk that would happen. So we took some strategies on the process. One was putting in the franchise agreement the right to move the franchise if MLS ever played in Austin, which is what Bobby is doing right now with Donnie Nelson. And I also built the stadium in a way that we could move the stadium. So basically 90%, with the exception of the locker rooms that are built as a construction, everything else is almost like a Lego piece that we can move around if we want. So what Bobby is going to be doing, I don't know. The rugby team still plays there.
Oh, yeah.
I personally think that Austin needs a stadium that's 5,000 seat capacity with a nice pitch like they have there. I sure hope the team is going away, but the stadium is staying, because I think there's a lot of things that we can still do for a stadium like that. So, for example, Austin Elite, the women's Pro-Am team here in Austin, that's a perfect venue for them to play. Maybe one day, maybe a NISA team or a USL League 2 or League 1 team playing there. That would be great. And that's also another thing that we complain a lot about it, but sometimes we don't support, right? How many people that are complaining or they're upset, and I know it's not your case, Shara, that the boat is going away, or complaining about other moments that are not out there supporting Austin Elite, are not there all supporting Round Rock Soccer Club in Round Rock playing USL League 2. There's some teams playing UPSL and PSL around town. There's so much soccer going on in this city that, if we really embrace that, again, I think we are Soccer City, but if we embraced a little bit more of those moments, there's a lot for us still to grow in the lower divisions in our Central Texas area.
Perfect. I'm going to ask you two questions that I know you can answer them. I hope you want to answer them. Number one, because I remember Austin Aztecs, they had people playing for free. I remember that. And I'm talking about even Austin Aztecs from Phil Rawlings. There were some people playing for free. How much, the first question is, everybody on the ball was paid, and then number two is, how much an USL level ball needs monthly to support the team?
Okay, so let's go to the first question first. I can't comment on Phil Harling's time because I was not here. I really don't.
No, I remember that. I was there.
Yeah, I'm saying I can't. I don't know. I don't know. That wouldn't even be fair for me to try to respond something like that. In our time with the Austin Boat, the Austin Aztecs and the Austin Boat, Aztecs 2.0, and when we were USL, when we were PDL, we couldn't pay the players by league rules. So that's a difference. It's a development league, college players that we had, of course. But David Markley and René van den Zanden provided to those players the best condition in the league. We were the Aztecs was considered the best franchise, best run franchise for PDL in that one of those years, giving them the best apartment complexes. There was always a respect from that ownership to those players. They were not getting paid money, but they had a very good structure.
You guys had
from
players with the level.
Yeah,
they were to MLS.
You had Tirpek, you had Kakuda, you had So I'm not going to start saying names here because then I'm going to forget somebody and then we're going to be upset, right? So that was it. Aztecs USL Pro D3. We had all the players were paid, with exception, same with Bode, academy players. So you can have academy player contracts, and so for example, Gaines was like that with us. Julian Gaines was academy player. Beto started with us as an academy player, and then I gave him his first contract when I was still there at the end of the season, because I could already see that Beto. There was two things in Beto, for example. Beto, we saw that he could make it to the next level. He was right there, one of those players that turns the key and becomes a very good player, or goes the other way. But Beto was right there on that line. But more, Beto deserved that. You know, he has a fighting life and all of that, and that was also something that I'm very proud of, the ownership that I had in both in the Aztecs and the board, that allowed me to take care of the people, not just the players, right? And we had that, and that was something that I wanted to do. Second question that you ask, you want to know what's the salary for a USL franchise?
No, not salary. I would like to know what is the spend of the team, like general operations. Like you have,
okay, so
you have like let's say like the business plan of having the stadium, maintaining the players, expenses, traveling, thing. How much a team needs a month?
So a new franchise, just the franchise cost, you're talking about usually USL before COVID, right? We're going to see what's going to go on after COVID. But the last franchise in USL was sold, the franchise fee was sold for $15 million. Okay?
Wow.
Right, so it's a good chunk of money. And a franchise, I'm going to say maybe 2 or 3 of the 30 franchises in USL make any money. I would say one third to half of them, lose between, maybe $300 and $1 million a year. And then a third of them that lose between $1 million to $2 million a year. So it's very easy for us to say, to criticize the team going away, but forget about, the 2, 3, 4, 5 years that sometimes these owners have put in, tens of millions of dollars sometimes to make it happen, right? So it's not a cheap toy. And I gotta tell you, I consult also. I do consulting for some possible owners of franchise.
Everything you touch is like the Rey Midas.
But
you need to touch Club Deportes.
But what I'm gonna tell you is that I have had many clients that came ready to invest in a soccer franchise, and I convinced them otherwise. I said, "Hey, are you ready for this?" Because I'm in the opinion that I think it's better for a franchise not to even be created than to come in and go out. I don't think that helps soccer in the U.S. So ownership has to be very clear on what they want from a franchise, because you're not going to make money in soccer in the US.
So one of the things, and I was just thinking, sometimes, it's a lot of money to lose between 1.5 to 3 million per year. For a regular humans like you and me, it's impossible.
It's pocket change, come on.
But for people with money, and especially having the whole circuit thing around, like concerts, the F1 and everything, it's not better to lose some amount of money just for the branding, having the ball there with the F1 and the concerts and everything?
We would need several hours to discuss this here, right? I don't think it's easy for us to respond to that, but
I don't think anyone likes to lose money, even if it's
that's
$10
I was going to say
$20 at my level.
No, but the ownership of the board knew that they were going to be losing money, right? And he was always ready to lose some money every year with that. He was never in for that, None of them. Again, David Markley and René van der Zanden and Bobby Epstein, none of them got into soccer because of making money of it. It was to really develop and be part of that. And they're all lovers of soccer. But Bobby plays at Austin Men's Soccer Association every Sunday. Has a soccer pitch at the backyard of his house. Plays every Wednesday. He really loves soccer. René van der Zanden grew up in Holland, playing soccer, supporting teams and everything. So it is giving back to the community, but I think everybody has, I can spend X amount of money every year, on my hobby. That's their hobby, but there's a limit every year that they could. And I think they was beyond that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So what's the risk that they were taking on losing money with the intention that maybe there was a benefit of gaining an MLS franchise?
No, that was a fact from the start. From the start was he had the intention on bringing MLS to us. That's the reason that Bobby Epstein bought part of the Austin Aztecs in 2015, was because he wanted to bring MLS to Austin. That was his end goal. And he was willing to lose money across year after year.
And that makes perfect sense.
Doing that. And even after MLS came, Precourt brought Austin FC, we sat down and said, hey, are you doing this? He said, yeah, I still want to do this. I'm still going to create this. I think there's a market for this. It's different, but I'm willing to lose X amount of money every year. This is my limit. And I promise you, he lost double that number every single year with the boat. We can criticize here. We can discuss why, all the reasons.
Actually, I'm just saying. I mean, I admire his what you're saying. I mean, I honestly, Bobby better than anybody else. So everything that you're saying, I mean, it's really de admirar. I don't know how to say it in English.
And that's why when people were criticizing me for supporting Bobby and Bolt, it was like, I'm supporting someone that is believing in soccer, not. I don't support the bad things from someone. I'm support the good things from someone, because we all have our negatives.
But you know what? I think on the other hand, I think Bobby or whoever it was when you left this year, I think they just give up. I mean, there was nothing on the media. Communication was none. I mean, we didn't have any. After the season is over, we asked for credentials since day one. Tony told me, okay, your credential is ready. No, we don't have credentials. We tried to get close to them. We couldn't. That was one. The other one, marketing-wise, I don't think they were really doing a good effort to. I think now.
No, you're right. I don't think anybody questions that, right?
You don't buy. I mean, where do you buy the clothes?
No. But again, I think this team. I actually was very surprised that they played this year. To be very honest, between me and you,
between me and you
and everybody, right? Yeah, of course. But I never thought that they were going to play this year. I thought they were, and I think the only reason he played this year is to be able to move the franchise to another city, right? To not lose fully the investment that he did over time. That's exactly what happened, and you see that. And I explained that on one of our podcasts. We have a USL podcast called Striker Terras. And I explained that on one of the episodes, how the scheduling of USL is made and the influence that the ownership or the front office of a team has on making the schedule. When you see the bold schedule this year, when I saw the bold schedule coming this year, I already knew that they didn't care about this year anymore, right? You have 80% of the games on weekdays, which is bad. And he did that because he didn't want to have conflicts with the concerts, because you can't have the concerts at the same time. So he was, this year for Bode was minimizing the losses to be able to do the move that they're doing right now at the end of the season. And I don't think he was wrong. I already said this. I think the moment that you know that you're going away, let's do the best that we can, until that happens.
It's still a business.
Yeah.
See, no, I understand.
Going back to if I'm always gonna be sad. No, it's kind of like when you lose your girlfriend and you're sad for a few weeks and then you find another girlfriend. That's where I'm at right now.
Let's go for a beer. Vamos con la cerveza.
What is this start?
It's a Copa Tejas.
No, come on.
It is a Copa Tejas.
Was for Texas.
Uh-huh.
It is
for Copa Tejas?
No, it's the state of
It is
Texas.
for Copa Tejas.
All right,
It is for Copa Tejas.
What's Copa Tejas?
That's good. That's for the. I mean, everything good.
We're the only team from Austin that has won Copa Tejas so far.
From Austin.
From Austin.
Come on. Anyways, okay. ¿Cuánto llevamos, Karim? 1-1. Nos pasamos. We go over. Marcelo. I mean, Marcelo. I was going to ask about Marcelo. That's why I haven't. What do you think? The last question. What do you think about Marcelo's how's the position of Marcelo's work on the team? Like coaching and then manager.
Oh, that's a hard one for me to answer. I think he had a few challenges. I think Marcelo has a lot of knowledge about soccer, but has a lot of challenges with relationships and communications within the staff and within the players. So, what I would say to be I think trying to be fair with him and with everything that I see is that I think both him and the players were very happy with his move outside the head coach position. I think that was a necessary move for everyone. I think he was in a very stressful position at that point. After he took the position of technical director, what are you going to do also when you're a technical director of a team that you know that's going away, right? There's not much to do. I'm pretty sure that he spent the last 3 months trying to get a new job more than running the team itself. And again, don't think I would blame him for that, So
did you sign him? You brought him?
I brought him. When we went dark on the first year, the year before we went dark, I met Marcelo. He was assistant coach at Curitiba. We had a partnership of the Aztecs with Curitiba in Brazil. And I met him and I kept in touch with him. He became the U.S. national team assistant coach for under 20 or under 17, I think it was. And I told him at that time, I said, hey, all the best players of tomorrow are on your hand today. One day I'm going to get the franchise back and we're going to work together. And we're going to do a special thing. And I think we had a special thing that first year. But like I said, some challenges.
So if you were getting the players of tomorrow, why you got the players of the past on that first year?
What do you mean? Sorry.
You got a lot of older players in the first year instead of younger players in the first year.
Well, because I think we wanted to do different, right? I think for us we really wanted to win the championship on year one,
and we were this close.
We was this close on beating Phoenix,
Yes.
But I think we really wanted to do something different, something special, right? And I think we were on that route to do that. And well, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Roberto, I hope we can have another conversation with you. It was like really, really interesting to hear everything, all your experiences, and I really thank you for all your honesty, for everything you tell us, everything you share, and hopefully we can have you another time.
No, always. Shara knows this. I'm a very honest, transparent guy. I say what I think.
How do you call it?
Shara. Shara is
tocayo in
Portuguese.
Yeah. Es que charal, yo digo, charal es un pescado, yo digo, pero no dicen el pescado. Because it's smell or what?
Jorge.
Yeah, it's great to be here, great to talk soccer, and I think this conversation that we had today, although we had some difficult topics that we talked about, I think if we all discuss them the way that we did, we're making this team and this community, the soccer community, is stronger. And I think I'm always up to discuss that and to help them.
Exactly.
And I'm going to tell you, from the very first day that I met this guy, his first things was, we're going to be very honest. You can support whoever you want, even if it's the MLS. You don't have to stop supporting MLS just because you're supporting ball. And you have total freedom to do what you want. That was our first conversation.
And we're going to have another conversation with you, but right now we are already...
Oh, I'm charging
the only
for the
thing
next
is,
one.
the only thing, Roberto, La Cinco made his, the presence in Austin don't disappear.
That's not up to me. That's up to the leadership of La Cinco.
Bueno, no se vayan, ahora sí que no se vayan. Y muchas gracias por estar aquí también.
Thank you.
So, muchas gracias a los dos Robertos, a los Chalams.
Shará.
Okay. Perfectamente bien, señores. Bueno, pues nos vamos, nos quedamos hoy sí 1 hora como con 22, 23 minutos. Valió la pena. En verdad, it was like really, really good conversation. I think this is one of the best shows we ever had in FCTV. And hopefully we can have them back soon. No se les olvide, don't forget to follow us, Club Deportes, @Club Deportes, clubdeportes.com. Y Instagram, Club Deportes Austin, and follow the striker too. Where they follow you?
Yeah, everywhere where the striker Texas, so it's easy everywhere, all the platforms. But the most important is, subscribe to the striker Texas. We can only do what we're doing. you support us and we support local soccer. I think that's how it goes. So we're here to stay and like I said, support local soccer.
Perfectamente bien, señor. You look good. Ok, perfectamente bien, señores. Muchísimas gracias. Nos vemos. Gracias a Karim Rodríguez por la producción. Y con Puente Gerardo, see you next week. No, see you Thursday. We're going to have a show Thursday.
Thursday.
En español.